Saera and The Invisibles, a place to explore questions for yourself, humanity, or the planet. And so The Invisibles are spirit mentors that I've been working with since I was a young girl, and they've been supporting me in learning how to let them move transmissions through me and through my being and my body and my words. And so, as an offering to the world, I've been doing this every week for we're on our 56th week. And so, this is a place where you can come and listen and receive, trust in yourself to use your discernment of what's important for you to take home with you, what's important for you to just leave and let grow in its own form where it needs to. So, just setting the intention today that all beings that come here into this temple of offering are here to receive information that's going to support them in their dharma, in their work, in their offerings in this world. And knowing that all the questions here are universal questions as much as they may be specific to individuals, and allowing yourself to be open to hearing messages between the words, between the lines of communication. So we're just gonna honor the great beneath for a moment. Honoring the great beneath, this planet, this structure that holds us, that forms the world around us. Pachamama, thank you for bringing your foundation into this work today. The great beyond, the celestial realms, the unseen allies, the ancestors, the spirits, the star beings, the great unknown beyond that reminds us of that infiniteness, that expansiveness that is our potential. And then the great within, honoring your great within, honoring the stories and the experiences, the dreams and the visions, the desires, the goals that you have in this life. And thank you for bringing that to the surface today. So that being said, just ringing the bell, bringing us into presence. Hello, everyone popping on, by the way. Wasn't able to start this earlier, so I'm just gonna copy this if I can, paste it. If anyone wants to share too, that'd be awesome. So I've been in this flow today of exploring what natural expansion and growth looks like and feels like, specifically related to business, and connecting that business and that growth with what is the need of the whole of the regards to the business that you hold, regards to the offering that you hold, and how to link in and tap into which direction do you desire your offerings to grow into, and is that in divine right relationship with the needs around you. And so as I've been exploring that, and holding that prayer that my work and that my offerings are growing in the direction of being able to be of greater support to more beings in this planet, and are connecting themselves within the integrity of my purpose and my calling and my desires. So that's a bit of my question I have today for the Invisibles. And hello, who we got here? We got Katie and Viola, a few others. I can't see who you are through this. So my question today, my first question, is if there's any guidance around growing towards our potential, growing into our potential, and what that looks like, and how to hold that growth within our being. And so I'm going to start this transmission, which I'm trying to explore. Just start with a little song to kind of deepen us into presence together, and then we'll get into the question. Going inside, holding what's dear to you, anchoring what's true within you, that the world can show you what's needed of you. Growing, growing, showing, showing, Your light to the world. 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 Growing, showing your light to the world. All right, and so for the question we have about growing our light towards the world and how to be open to that process and allowing of that process and listening to the needs. What if life is dangling just what you need in front of you the whole time? But that desire for, or that belief that what you need is so hard to find that you're looking all over the ground. You're scouring the earth, trying to seek something to validate what's needed next of you. And so when exploring what is needed next of you, what is this natural evolution that wants to move through you, if it is allowed the space that it requires to thrive? What is that, and what does that feel like? Sometimes the feeling of expanding can also create a retraction, can create a fear reaction. Because expanding also requires a level of depth. That there is a certain capacity of who you have been that cannot hold who you're becoming. And in that expansion process, there is that edge you must experience. That edge of your capacity to grow. That edge of that desire to thrive. Because beyond that edge, that's new, right? Evolution is a natural process, but what it feels like each step along that evolutionary journey, each of those steps is new, but that feeling of yes, that feeling of fresh air moving through your being, fresh life purpose moving through your being, well, that's a familiar taste. And so we pray that all of you can learn that feeling and that taste, because that taste is what guides you into allowing more. Whether or not your circumstances may appear to be supporting of that expansion, if that taste is there, if you can feel that yes there, lean into it, breathe into it, step into it, trust into it. And deny the belief that you leaning into this sense of yes, this sense of expansion is foolhardy. For is it not the fool in the oracle deck that begins this whole journey? As you're falling or stepping off that cliff, it's up to you to choose which reality is holding you or which reality is pulling you down with this leap of faith. Thank you. All right, so hello everyone. We got Robin, we got Yola, we got Katie Barrington, and a bunch of other people. I can't see who you are. Harold, we even got Ellen. So how this works for anyone that's new here is you're welcome to put a question for yourself, humanity, or the planet on the thread, and I will get to as many as I can within the next 40 minutes to an hour. So here we go. So the first question we have today is from Viola. And she says, "Hi dear, my question today is about my dreams. I saw my ex-husband again last night and his new wife. I am in the town where we live together. He has gone to his new wife in Canada. I wonder if that means I can't move on, or just my psyche is so open to people who I love, which happens often and I'm used to it. just surprised this is still coming after 2 years of divorce. Mm. I saw my ex-husband again last night with his wife. I guess without being able to communicate with you about your feelings, I would say that the feelings with dreams are really, really important. That they guide a lot of explanations on what's going on. And so I'm curious, when you saw them in the dream, what was your feeling? Was there anxiousness? Was there a sense of acceptance? Because sometimes what I've noticed is that this is working with dreams because I love working with dreams. I'm passionate about them. So much of the soul, I believe, speaks to us in dreams. And something that's been really helpful is learning who represents different archetypes in my life because of different stories or experiences I've had. And so I have certain friends in my life that really, once I start exploring, like, okay, who do you represent? And when they appear, I get to think of them instead of just that person being like, okay, this archetype is showing up in my life. And I'm also getting an opportunity to check my relationship with that archetype, with that story within the dream realm, to see how much I've truly where I've either grown from, if it's a connection with an ex-partner, an ex-husband, or what, if there's anything else in mending my relationship with that. So I wonder if this means I can't move on, or just my psyche is so open to people I love, which happens often and I'm used to it. Okay, let's see if there's anything that we can pick it up on regarding this dream. So it's interesting. The first thing I saw, sorry, hide this. The first thing I saw was like almost this image of like buttons, like someone sewing on buttons or connecting, and I saw this image of like a button that had like fallen off or and like was almost like left behind or something. And the feeling I had was, these buttons sometimes represent these tools or these really simple tools or like parts of ourselves that hold things together. And when they're gone, or when buttons, there's like this sense of like a loose thread or like an incomplete experience happening, at least in the symbolic realm. And I'm curious if in some way, just to tie this together with your question, if maybe who he represented to you represents maybe like a button, or represents some sort of symbolic anchoring point that helped pull things together for you, or made things fit better, right? Whether or not it's about him, but wondering, and that's why I'd love to, I don't know if you responded, but if there's what your feelings were in that relation, in that vision, because that can be something to explore, is like, as you're in this town and all these feelings are coming up regarding your past experiences, is maybe pulling in that energy or that archetype that he might have held for you, of that partnership, of that support, or that button that held things together with you, and almost like internalizing that in yourself. And so this can go for anyone watching too, is that I believe that we can experience these different relationships, and these relationships can play out archetypal dynamics. But when it's time to really bring that into ourselves so that we can create and manifest that person or that archetype from a new established integrated place in ourselves, like reeling in that energy of like, what did he represent? What does he represent to you, or when you were living together where you are now? And then in that, reeling that in, how can you call in those feelings in your own being and acknowledge those parts of yourself? It's kind of something I'm seeing, is like almost this feeling of there's still, even though there's been a lot of closure, like maybe on a symbolic way, maybe some parts are still externalized or still feel like they're separate from you. That feeling of completion is something that is somehow separated. I don't know if that makes sense, but And you can explore that, reeling in these parts that this person represents and exploring what they represent. So that's that, my dear. So moving on. Hello, everyone popping on, by the way. We are here every week. This is our 56th week. So we've got Robin. Robin Jenkinson. Hi, sweetie. I'm guessing you're here because you probably just put this on. Okay. Okay, Jody just popped on. So Robin says, what's the best way forward with my school garden work projects? All right. It's interesting. The first thing I saw was like, it was really loud, but I saw this image of like documenting um, most inclusive and fun. Wait a second. I saw this image of like, okay, I'm going to share what I'm seeing. So I'm seeing like this image of creating, and this could be like a longer term project, but creating like almost this like fun little, like, I don't know if it would be a workshop or like a play shop that you could, or like I'm kind of seeing like this little, like almost this, there's two things I'm seeing, right? One that's maybe a little less hands-on, but one of them is putting together different fun garden activities that can be integrated into the school curriculum and with those that are working in the school garden, but kind of in this like almost I see this like little like booklet or something. But then the other thing I'm seeing is actually like having like this, like I'm seeing oh, they want to speak. So so when you're putting together not just information, but you're pulling in loose threads, you're pulling in these pieces of a greater story and doing your best to weave them into something that not only is presentable, but that brings a sense of curiosity and excitement. Because that's the core we see of this work, is how to reclaim and bring in curiosity and excitement regarding nature connection, regarding food reliability, or whatever, I don't know how to describe that. And so in this process, we're seeing that part of bringing in this excitement is very much connected with turning the experience into a game and into a story. That when we can connect with children in stories and myth, that there can become a whole greater picture for them to relate with, where it's less just about the function and the beauty and more about who are these plants that they're working with, as though they're characters in a story. And then how do they engage with each other? Oops, they're kind of popping out. It's like they're showing, I mean, there's a whole thing. I'd love to just sit down. We can talk about this because they're kind of showing me a few different directions. But I was seeing this image as they're talking about the stories, of seeing this image of like integrating knowledge. So integrating what you've learned, like what you've learned about, so it's just what plants bring. So I'm seeing like, the story of like, okay, sunflowers, they're like these really tall beings that like look over the garden and they bring their light, and they're, there's ways of playing with these different characters and their offerings as a way of turning them into like these characters that have different personalities, right? So when you're playing in the garden, like, okay, who's Mr. Beat, like Miss, they're kind of cutting me off because they don't want me to put too much creative imagery into there, but But part of going to like, and that's why like the other thing they were showing me was this image of you and like this crew of like, I don't know if they're interns or there's like they're younger, like maybe in they're either college or high school or like maybe late high school, but putting together some sort of kind of playful activity or game that's garden related, and then being able to even go to the different school gardens to engage like as like almost this mini tour, like little mini island tour to engage, be like a guest speaker, a guest participant, but instead of just speaking in the auditorium, like bringing people into the gardens and playing this story or this game. I'm not really quite sure about it, but that's a bit of what I saw. And then this little booklet of different activities that can be sent out that all the schools can have that they can work with or add to, or that could be maybe a collective resource where you can like reach out to different schools and like what are some activities that have worked for you, or and start kind of putting them together is a little bit of something else I saw. So there you go. Thanks for such a great question. All right, so moving on. Oh, I just saw Viola. Sorry, I just saw what you had written before. So the next question we have is from Jody. Jody, my dear, are you still here? Ooh, you've had dreams with mountain lions. She says, I adore our feline family. What messages are they trying to communicate? Thank you. Jody, are you still here? Well, something that I want to share while I'm seeing if you're here is my relationship with mountain lions, because I've also had many dreams with them and have taken them on as a totem animal. And so, for anyone that's not aware of this concept of totem animals or spirit animals, I believe, and I'm not the only one, that along with different spirit guides and ancestors that come with us to support us and help us on this walk in our world and our life, there are also certain animals that come to us to bring their medicine and almost act as part of our spiritual toolkit that we can call on to help us move through life in the ways that they move through life. And so for me, a lot of my personal experiences with totem animals. And so totem animals, I'm still waiting for you, Jody, to make sure you're here. So if you're here, give a shout out. I'm just going to go on oh, you are here. Fabulous. So my experience with these totem animals is I originally was, all my animals that came to me were like rodents. So they were like mices and rabbits. And I worked really well with this rodent family, if you can't tell. And there was a time in my life where I was actually stepping into my power and was needing to step into a greater amount of power in myself, in my sovereignty, and how I spoke up for my needs. And that's when I started having dreams about mountain lions. And my relationship, though, and that's something, same thing with when I was talking to Viola about her dream, was how do you feel about the mountain lions when you see them? It's really important because that'll show you a little bit more about your relationship with this animal. I do believe if you're receiving dreams about them, then there is definitely a totem animal. There's a spirit guide that is coming here to speak to you. So for me, what happened was these animals started coming, these mountain lions, and I was actually really freaked out about them. Like I was resisting this mountain lion. Like in the dream, it felt like it was a predator, and I was trying to, protect things from it. And it was only during like a very, somewhat, I'll say, for lack of a word, shamanic experience I had once when I went into a deep state of prayer, and all of a sudden this mountain lion appeared and was circling around me. Like I could see them with my inner eye. Was it clear that they were like, I am here to help you, right? I am what you need right now. And so I got to explore, what I need, I'm actually pushing this away. And so for you though, it feels like exploring like what potentially could a mountain lion's energy and their way of how they walk in this life be supportive to you right now in your life. Perhaps there's a sense of power that's needed in your life. Perhaps there's a sense of almost this need to really be aware of your whole situations, but not from like a hiding stance, from like an inquisitive place. Like I feel like the mountain lions are really here as like they're these deep observers, and even though their capacity to take life is great, they also choose very, very wisely, and a lot of the time they're just observing and highly aware, and they're also beings that can be hidden in the background. So when exploring what the mountain lion means to you. Oh, so Jody says, I totally believe that. They've come up before as a totem animal. I'm always at peace with big cats. Fabulous. Yeah. So that's something to explore. What are they trying to, what's the message that they're trying to get through to you right now at this time in your life? Why are they coming to you? And so I'll tap in. The Invisibles want to speak a little bit, but they also feel like there's something in even the mountain lion medicine for you to hold into. What is that message that they have for you? And also exploring. So for anyone that's doing dream analogy or dream uncovering, I really like to encourage to not just, if you're exploring the animal, so in this case, Jody has these mountain lions coming to her in these dreams, but also explore the relationship that they have with their surroundings. So are they like hiding in a forest? Are they out in the open air? Like for me with my mountain lions, they were like trying to get into a chicken coop, and they had to like, they were like in a fence, and which made a lot of sense for what was going on for me. And so the idea is that, so Jody, I don't know if you could share where the mountain lion was or what the relationship with their environment was, but if they're in the forest, if they're kind of hiding, then it couldn't possibly be speaking to parts of your personal power, parts of your this sovereign, like Blackbird, like that predator energy. That even though it's a predator, it's also a sense of like commanding presence, right? That these big cats are there, and they like just their presence is, commands attention out of the sheer respect for it, right? And so exploring like what are you feeling about how your power and your presence is being received by the world around you. So that's a little bit about that. And if it wasn't an open field, it would mean that maybe you are, but how you felt about it. If it was in an open field and you felt vulnerable, that perhaps you didn't have the structure to feel super confident being that seen. Those are all things to explore. And so since I don't have any questions lined up, I can keep talking about spirit animals. And so if you're here and you want to put a question in, feel free, or I'm just going to keep talking about connecting with spirit animals. Okay, we've got somebody else. So wonderful. So I'm just going to wrap up, see if there's anything the Invisibles specifically want to say about the mountain lions, and then we'll get to Lisa. Yeah, the first thing I saw was there's something about you needing to speak up. There's like something, they were saying clients, but like some sort of like speaking up. There's some sort of thing that needs to happen with your, it's like this, like the word commanding. I don't know what that means to you, but that's an important key right now for you. So blessings, my dear. Thanks for bringing the mountain lion medicine here today. Harold had said, my name is Cougar with one black paw, of the Cha people. Beautiful. Yeah, they're powerful. Something else just to tie in before we get to Lisa's that I learned a lot about the mountain lion, the cougar, was so in my relationship with totem animals, I didn't register this because so many of my animals that I carried were all rodents, right? So they carried a different energy. I found that once I took on and accepted the mountain lion, in order for me to actually stand in my power, I actually, with that, holding that animal, I would notice if I was actually not in my power, because when my mountain lion came to visit me, if I had any fear come up around it, or like kind of like, ooh, like if I had any of that resistance, that was when I could tell like, oh, I'm not standing in my power. I can't hold this lion's energy, right? I just can't hold it. Like I'm actually, and it felt like the lion would attack me, right? It felt like my own totem animal would come and just kind of like almost want to eat me. Because it was just showing me it's like you need to stand in your power right now. Otherwise, you're prey. You're prey to your power. You're prey to the power surround you. So that's something that was really amazing to learn. Like, oh, it's not so graceful. It requires space. Harold says some of us embody our spirit animals on this planet for strength of our material path. Definitely beautiful. So moving on. So the next question we have is from Lisa Hip. Hello, Lisa. Are you still here, my dear? I'm going to read your question along the way just to check. But Lisa Hip says, 2 nights ago in meditation, I was told to find this Zimubu tribe in Arizona, but couldn't find it in Arizona. But there is a tribe close to that in Africa, and that I had something for them. And when I asked what it was, I was told they will know. Oh, that's beautiful. The Zimubi. Beautiful. So is your question, my dear? So this is for you, Lisa. Lisa Hip. Are you here? Because I want to, you are perfect. It would be interesting to explore too if Arizona's kind of landscape is similar to the landscape of the tribe that you were exploring. So is your question, what's your question? I like that you're able to connect with similar tribes. This happens a lot in when I do session work or even through dreams where I'll just have like this name or almost a name and I can tell that there's I actually go study it and be like, what is this? Where is this place? And the places I've got to explore and finding that symbolism and the interconnectedness is really powerful. While I'm waiting on a question, I'm just going to share what's coming to me is how can you also bring yourself into the consciousness of the dreamers there? Because I believe that even though we can go places because especially if you're in a living a privileged first class life and you're capable of even buying plane tickets, you can go places, you can go and explore. But we also have this amazing privilege inherent in being human where we can drop into traveling, I believe, without having to go in physically. And so the power of connecting in, well, perhaps there is a deeper meditation that you can do with this tribe where like I keep hearing like a dreamer, like maybe they have a dreamer there, maybe there's like a medicine person that works between the veils as an ambassador of information. And so perhaps there's a way, and hello everyone popping on. We've got Vanessa and Christina. So perhaps there's a way, and this is something you can do, is perhaps going back into that meditative state and allowing yourself to travel to this tribe, almost like going on a visualization journey where you're allowing yourself to, travel over. And if it is, okay, so if you put a question, how do I know what I'm supposed to do? I know I have medical knowledge and no schooling. Is it the people I need to help, animals, or heritage? I'm so confused. Okay. Yeah. So the first feeling I see is more of connecting on a spiritual level, on a soul level, of actually going into meditation and calling forth the dreamer of the tribe. That's kind of what I keep hearing is they have a dreamer. And asking, maybe they can come to you in your dreams, depending on your capacity with your inner sight travel, and asking them for guidance if there's any specific thing that you have to do to help. The other thing is like seeing like this, it's actually what I'm seeing is this elephant. Like I'm seeing this old elephant, and it feels like the elephant represents this like embodied ancient knowledge, that there's like this, like I'm seeing, like I'm looking at this big old elephant and seeing like all this wisdom of the land just like in their body. And somehow they're showing me like this correlation with you and your capacity and of holding all this wisdom in your body that maybe you haven't even fully uncovered. And so when exploring what can you do, what is your relationship with this tribe, it feels like also asking the question, what is your connection with this tribe from this life or past life? Because I'm kind of feeling that there's like, it feels like it's that there's something that you, I don't know if you believe in reincarnation or if that concept makes sense to you, but yeah, it feels like there's something about you, you and this tribe have some sort of connection on the soul level. And so first thing I'd suggest is asking, asking that you're able to connect with their dreamer, and asking their dreamer or what, if there's any guidance that they have specifically on how to move forward and to be in the best, working the best way with this tribe. And also realizing that if you were given Arizona, if that's like, if it isn't the landscape, like I first kind of felt into, if it isn't the landscape, perhaps that there's something about maybe somebody that's working in Arizona that has some sort of connection, that sometimes when we get these visions, and that they can be a bunch of different clues all kind of put in together, like one being Maha clue. And so taking apart those pieces. So that's a bit of like, I think like that's where I'm going to stop right now, because it's a beautiful question. I love that you're even exploring following up with these visions, because a lot of people don't. A lot of people get these visions and kind of let it be there. So blessings to you on your journey, and connecting in first with an ambassador of that tribe on a soul level, and then moving there from there, I think is the best way to do it. Lisa Hip says, I can look into the eyes of horses and connect with them. Beautiful. So you're an animal communicator. Wonderful. All right. So thank you. And so moving on, the next question we have, and if for whatever reason I have passed over you, I am so sorry. I think I'm doing everyone in the order. We have Beth here. Beth, how's from Nova Scotia? Lovely. Oh, and Jody, I'm seeing everyone's posts. Jody had said there's typically on the edge of the forest, not completely hidden. So maybe there's that part of you that's going from almost ready to reveal. So the next question is from Christina Williams. Hello, my dear. Oh, Jody says she lives in Arizona. Oh, great. A longitude question. Yes. So before actually I get into Christina's message, this is something I just took a songlines class with Dea Dova, who's this amazing musician from Australia. And something she was sharing is that you can actually see where there's different, on Google Maps, there's like a Google Maps for the energetic lines all around the planet that you can check out online and see where these different ley lines, like energetic vortexes are. It'd be interesting to see that. Oh, good. Christina's here. Hey, Christina. Okay. So Christina says, how do you know what spirit animal you are? Well, in my experience, we also hold many of them. And I've also explored realizing that I believe that at different times in people's lives, spirit animals actually come to you. So it's almost like, it makes me think of a Boy Scout, like how in Boy Scouts or Cubs or Girl Scouts, you get like this badge, right? As you've like earned something. And I've experienced that can happen with spirit guides as well. So that can happen with totem animals and spirit guides, where at different times in your life, a lot of time because you need them or you call upon this certain kind of help, these guides come and to bring you their medicine. And so how you can tell is, well, big one is dreams. A second big one that happens a lot is if you're getting like eaten or bitten in your dream. If there's, even though it seems kind of counterintuitive, like why would my spirit guide devour me? That's a really common initiatory vision is being completely devoured or bitten, or like some form of like actual physical engagement in the dreams. Another one is if you have reoccurring animals that appear to you. And so something that you could do, Christina, and for anyone else, that's kind of a fun experiment to play with Oracle Life, is you can set your intention that within the next week, or you could say within the next couple days, that one of your totem animals is going to show you enough signs of who they are that it'll be obvious that is coming, that message is coming from them. And so just being open to, and you got to set that intention that in 2 weeks or 2 days, there's going to be a certain amount of images coming to you, and they can come through dreams. And what I call it Oracle Life, because you can set that intention, and then part of the rules of playing this Oracle Life game is knowing that whatever shows up is part of your answer being received and responded to. So for you, and then when you in this process of what's showing up, you can also explore what has shown up. So sometimes, there's certain animals that people are so used to seeing that one can forget that that's actually a somewhat anomaly. Like I have a friend who's a raven, like ravens work with her, and took her a really long time to figure it out. She just assumed that like everyone had ravens visit them every day, or that wasn't an odd thing. That like, oh, it's just this ravens come and they like sit outside my window, but that happens to everyone, right? And then as she started talking, it's like that's not that's not so common. Perhaps exploring, well, maybe the raven is your animal, and so not all animals live in our where we live, so it can be challenging to have a whale show up next by your door. But you can see images of them, and so that would be part of your Oracle Life experiment, is perhaps through synchronicity, divine right synchronicity, you'll start seeing images of something, or people are going to, maybe there's something posted on your Facebook thread that you're drawn into with an animal, or somebody's going to have a name with an animal's name in it. And so those are also ways of kind of defining and exploring. And really the main one I always get back to, the root of any, is just ask. Asking your totem animal to show itself to you. Just getting as simple as that, like, and come to it and ask, with not just wanting to see who they are, saying, asking, well, why are you here, and what can I learn from you, and how can I use your medicine? Because I do feel that all these animals, they hold medicine for us, which is really important. And so learning how to hold that medicine and live that medicine and bring that medicine to the planet, which is something I also believe, is that if we are carrying these animals within us, that we also can carry that medicine. So if we're carrying the dove, perhaps we're also carrying that gentleness and that peace bringer to the world as well. If we're carrying the mountain lion, with bringing that power and that strength and that resilience and that that presence to the world. And that at different times in your life, when you learn how to carry something else, or when you need something else, that's when they come to you as well. And sometimes you might be done. You might not need the sparrow anymore for a while. And so that guide kind of moves or transitions out of your major arcana, so to speak, using tarot terms. So that's a little bit of ways